Has there ever been a point in your life where you've just said enough is enough and you're at the point where you just want to give up? That the hurts of the past are just sometimes too hard to bear and you're just like, I just can't even deal with this anymore. And you feel that things aren't going to get any better. The way it is right now is just the way it is and you don't like it. It hurts too much. Well, if that's you or you know somebody that's experiencing that, well then I invite you to hang out with us on the Hangout with Penny show for the next 30 minutes or so. And we're going to tell you, we're going to prove to you that things can and do get better. And they get so much more wonderful than you can even imagine right now. So it's true. I have a wonderful guest that's experienced all of that. We're going to touch on what happened in her life briefly and how she's just come out and just shines the brightest light and is here to just encourage any one of you that may be experiencing this, that you can have a wonderful life just like she does, just like I do. So everybody, you're watching episode 51 of the Hangout with Penny show. I know, Hangout, 51 episodes. I'm really, really happy for that. So, and it's because of all you. You've encouraged me, you inspired me. The purpose of the Hangout with Penny show was to encourage and inspire and uplift and empower you. And I thought if I could just help one person listening with one thing that we say on my show that helps you, or you can then help somebody else with that, then it's been well worth it. So you have encouraged me to keep going, and you inspire me to keep going. So thank you, everybody. I really appreciate all your love and support. And episode 51, that means I had 50 prior episodes. So maybe this is your first time tuning in. Hang Out with Penny. It's a weekly show. Hang Out with Penny. I have a G+ community every Friday night, 8 p.m. Eastern. And it's a place where you just come out and hang out like you're in my home. I got a new office, by the way, so my lighting's better. And so you'll know, if this is your first time, you're going to quickly learn that one of my favorite things to do is hang out with you and drink some wine. It's one of my favorite things to do. And so the wine I have this week for you all is for all my South African friends, because I have a Cape One wine. And what we do, the Niagara region, we have it's called Two Origins, and we import 70% of the grapes. So this came from South Africa, and we blend it with 30% Ontario grape, and then we age it. And it's so cheers to all my South African friends. Janick, you're gonna have to teach me how to pronounce your name. Cheers.
Cheers, honey.
That was
I love wine.
You are gonna love her. So before we bring her out, I just want to what people are saying about last week's episode 50. And it was tips on overcoming camera shyness. Well, I was one of those people. I still am, kind of. However, I started my very first Periscope yesterday. So I was walking the beaches of Wasaga Beach in the sand with my bare feet, and I'm giving self-care tips on the Periscope. So tonight was put your feet up. And yesterday was better, I think. Anyway, so episode 50, tips on overcoming camera shyness. So this is a comment from my Italian friend, Paola, and she says, "Hi, Penny. First, I might say you are beautiful and you have a light inside and shows outside." Yeah, right now it's right here. See it? I can see that. It's making fun. And the lady was right. We are, oh, that was Kim Bellavance. Oh my goodness. She is a brilliant photographer. So she says, and the lady was right. We were all shy in front of a camera because we see us in a different way than the camera shows. And also, yes, we are so self-conscious of what other people think of us. Very nice program, and it always gives something to think about. Have a wonderful weekend. Thank you. That's my friend Paola from Italy.
Yay.
Loel and Fulsang, she says, Came by late Saturday p.m. martini. Judgment does us such harm, does it not? Nice show, thank you. So yeah, we were talking about how well, I used to, if I would see a photo of myself, I would judge it, and anyway, that was something I had to get over. Monique Jackson, she says, hi Penny, another great show. Kim gave some great tips on getting past the fear of being judged and just being in the moment of the picture. I especially liked your reminders to be persistent in our purpose and passion. I like to teach the 3 Ps, purpose, passion, and persistence. And that there are no wrong doors. There's always another opportunity waiting. Thanks. And Karen Riggio, she says, thank you for the show. It was terrific discussion. The tips were so helpful, and love her reminder about just feel the vibration of the photos when hiring somebody. Focusing on having fun. What a concept. Again, thank you for your great shows. So that was episode 50, and Kim, she give, I don't know, 5 or 6 really good tips for any of us that are a little bit shy when it comes to getting our photos taken. It'll really help you out, so you might want to go check that out. And I just want to give a couple of shout outs to episode 49, Wendy Tomlinson, Angela Morris Holmes, Sandra Longmore, CJ Gilbert. Thank you very much. I'm getting lots of comments, so feel free to comment anytime, anybody. Okay. My guest tonight, look at the beautiful face here. Oh my gosh. Janick Lemieux. You're going to say your name right because you have that beautiful French accent.
I do?
So how we met, let me give you a brief, just how we met. So I'm on the Hangout with Michael show. I've been on there for 2 years already, but I guess a year or so ago now, somebody messaged me. She saw me on the Hangout with Michael show when I said I live in Wasaga Beach. She messaged me and she said, I have a friend that lives in Wasaga Beach. Well, this Sonia, or Sophia, she lives in Las Vegas.
Yes.
So she sees me on Michael's show. I live in Wasaga Beach. Her friend lives in Wasaga Beach. So she says, oh, you two are going to love each other. So she messaged Janick. She messaged me and she says, hey, I hear we're supposed to meet. Well, we did. And oh my gosh, she was so right. I have a paper falling here. She was so right. You are a beautiful person. So Janick, come out.
I'm a reflection of you.
Come out and tell us your correct name. So and tell us a little bit about yourself.
First, Penny, thank you so much for having me on your show. It's such an honor. I love how we are a reflection of each other's and how we did connect with Sophia. It was amazing. She messaged me and she's like, you'll never guess what. Penny Peddie in Wasaga Beach. And I thought I was mistaken, but she is in Wasaga Beach. And ever since, you know, it's been a soul connection, and I'm really honored to be here tonight.
Oh, well, thank you.
My name is Janick Lemieux. Janick. I like to joke around and tell people that to remember my name, think of a unique Juliet. So Janick Lemieux. And that's
I love that. I just put my paper back up. So tell people what you do now.
What I do now?
What you do, yes, what you do, because it's so wonderful, and I can see your artwork, everything behind you. I can see all that. So briefly tell us what you do now. Then we're going to go and do a little bit of back history.
I inspire people to choose love anytime. I invite them to fall in love with themselves and move into a life they love, and to turn their pain into peace. Isn't that beautiful?
Oh, I know. And you're a living example of it. A real living example of it. And the first time we met,
I walk the talk, right?
You walk the talk. And I tell you, the first time we met, so then we connected, and then we said, okay, well, let's meet for lunch. So we met for lunch, and this bright light just walked in when I'm sitting in the restaurant. It's you. So we sat and we talked, and you talked about your book, and you were talking about all kinds of things. But you're beautiful. You walked, just everything was just perfectly normal. Like you just seemed everything was fine. And then you posted a picture about you were so happy that you didn't have to, what is it, your license plate or something, that you had overcome all these challenges. And it was like, oh my gosh, so to look at you, you would never think that the hard time that you went through was even possible to fathom. And that's why I wanted to do this show, because we can get into a point where we think, I'm never going to get out of this wheelchair, or I'm never going to lose this weight. Because at one time, you were really overweight too, right?
Yeah, I guess the correct term would be morbidly obese.
Wow.
I was so obese that I could barely walk. And I guess in the medical term is morbid. Like there's overweight, there's obese, and there's morbidly obese. And I was 100 pounds. I was 254 pounds.
Oh, I looked at the photo and I think I'm like, no. I said, no, that's not you. Like, yeah.
Yeah, it sure is. I have the picture right here. I keep it to remind myself. And I want to can I say something right now, Penny,
yes.
about being overweight? It's not that there's something wrong with people being overweight. Like if anybody's watching this show, and I like to make this clarification now, there's nothing wrong with your body. Your body is perfect the way it is. And it's there teaching you lessons, protecting you, loving you. And so it wasn't wrong that I was obese.
No.
What was wrong with it is that I was miserable being obese.
I love that. And that's why, because many times we can see somebody, there goes the judgment, right? And it's like, I know some people that they love themselves just as they are.
Yeah, yeah.
Right? And that is perfectly fine. The world is made of so many wonderful people, and we all come in different shapes and sizes.
Yeah.
And that is perfect. That is perfect love.
Yeah.
Providing that you can love yourself that way. If you're miserable, then that's your body telling you something. Something needs to have some kind of change.
Yeah.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so that was just one aspect of it that I was just a little surprised, because it was like,
yeah, people don't expect that because I look so healthy.
I didn't expect it. Yes. and then we were done our dinner or our lunch, and then we're going our own ways. And you said we have to get together again. And you turned to me and you said, "Do you like wine?" I like wine. I'm like, oh my goodness, we're friends. High five. So you invited me to your house for dinner, and your husband cooked this amazing barbecue. But may I share a wonderful story that your husband said during dinner?
Yes.
Yeah.
I don't remember. I don't know what you're going to share.
This was beautiful. And we're having dinner, and we were talking about the I Can Do conferences when there's Wayne Dyer, God bless him, and and Cheryl Richardson and Greg Braden. So we'd have the I Can Do conferences, and your husband went with you to one of the I Can Do conferences.
He sure did.
Yeah, and he wasn't like, say, we were. Like, we get so excited. He was kind of like sitting there, and the woman in front of him turned behind him and said, "Why are you here if you don't believe?" And he said, he pointed to you, and he said, "Because I believe in her." Oh my God. When he shared that, it was like, oh, that's a beautiful story. He believed in you.
Yeah.
So, yeah, and that's wonderful.
We are so blessed that we found each other. My husband, I love him. And we've been together for almost 14 years now, married since 2006.
Well, I saw you. I was in the grocery store. Well, you were in the grocery store. I was in the wine rack. And so I was working, but I saw you leaving and you were holding hands. And you know what? If you had to ask me what did it look like to me? It almost looked like you were skipping. That's how happy and joyful you seemed leaving the store that night.
Yeah. Well, I had just manifested a miracle with my cell phone. So I was skipping because I had just changed. I went from an iPhone to an Android, and I didn't like the Android. And I went back to the company, the kiosk, whatever. Not when you saw me, but at another place. And they said, nope, it just can't be done. It just can't be done. But in my world, I don't believe in it can't be done. So I came home and did a meditation, and I what's the word? Invoked everybody who needed to be involved in this divine intervention of me getting this done. And of course, like you just said, my husband, who believes in me unconditionally, he's like, of course you're gonna get it done. And we went there when you saw me, and sure enough, everything just flew. Everything was aligned in my vortex, and I got my cell phone back just like that. And Denis is like, you know what, Janick, one morning we'll wake up and you'll tell me, oh honey, there's a dinosaur in the backyard. And I'll ask you, did you intend for that? And I'll say, yes. He said, well, then, yeah, of course there's a dinosaur in the backyard. That's how much he believes in me.
Mm-hmm.
How we met, him and I, is a story by itself, but that's another story.
Oh my gosh. But so I just thought it was important for me, I do the work, but sometimes we can still get down on ourselves. And you are so, the way you connect with people, you have such your inner voice comes out in a way that's like, we begin to feel that we're special, like, because we all are unique in our own way. And you teach people how to love ourselves just as we are. Just like when you said, for anyone that's overweight, that is fine. If you are happy and love yourself the way you are, we are all perfect just as we are. And some people, they have a hard time believing that. You help them believe that. So what's your core message to women, and men too for that matter, but do you have a core message
for you, men and women, like in general?
Yeah, like if like to start to begin with that self-love. How do you, like, you grew up, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you, but did you feel a lot of love when you were growing up?
Well, to answer this question, it's probably best that I share with you a defining moment in my life that resulted in a compelling story. And that moment was when I was 12 years old. And I remember that moment as if it was yesterday, Penny. My stepfather, I was walking down a hallway in the apartment we lived in, and he pushed me against the wall and he started feeling me. And I was 12 and he was over 50. And that was the beginning of a 5 years long sexually abusive journey. The sexual abuse happened on a daily basis. And there were so many moments, so many days, so many nights where I would pray any God, to just make my heart stop. Because I didn't want to commit suicide. I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to live either. I just wanted the pain to stop.
Mm.
And then when I was 17 and old enough to get my first summer job, when I got my first paycheck, I found a place to live and I left. I left my stepdad. I left the sexual abuse. And I can't say that I left my mom, because my mom had already left 2 years prior to that moment, because of the pain of being I'm looking for the word in English, betrayed.
Oh, yes.
Betrayed was unbearable for her for a second time in her life. It was too much pain for her, and so for herself. So imagine, she couldn't protect me. It's not her fault. I love my mother. I love my mother. I admire my mother. But that's what happened. And I left the abusive relationship. And I knew that if I wanted to do something in my life, I had to do something different. So I enrolled in an English college, and I immersed myself in an English community. I didn't speak a word of English. I was 17, and I jumped right in. So I lived on campus, I worked on campus, and I studied on campus, so that I guess I was already starting to answer the call of leaving Quebec, and the world was calling me and I was answering. Now fast forward a few years, and life went on. I graduated, got a job, fell in love, got pregnant with a miracle child, because I couldn't have any children according to the doctors because of all the sexual abuse, but she came. And I was again in an abusive relationship. I had reproduced that cycle of abuse. Mind you, it was not a sexually abusive relationship, but it was domestic violence. And domestic violence it doesn't have to be sexual abuse. It can, it's financial abuse, is verbal abuse, it's psychological abuse, it's all sorts of abuse. Fast forward again, 7 years later, I turned 30 years old, and I wake up that morning, my eyes are still closed, and I'm thinking, I can't believe that I'm 30, that I actually made it to be 30, that I didn't commit suicide, or that I haven't been murdered by him. So within 3 weeks, I was gone. I left for a second time an abusive relationship. And then from then on, I knew that things had to change for me and for my daughter. And I don't know where I found the courage, but I did. And I completely transformed my life. So when you ask me what's the core message that I have for men and women out there, it's to love yourself enough to do that drastic move that you have to do by choosing yourself. And that's what I did by starting to love myself. And that's a long story, so I won't get into it right now. But when I started to love all of my 254 pounds and love it and look at it and hug it and thank it, something that I didn't expect to happen happened. I started shedding it because I loved it. And I started getting clarity on what I wanted in my life. And I was certain I didn't want another man in my life, because my father betrayed me, my stepdad betrayed me, the father of my daughter betrayed me. I was done with men. It was going to be me and my daughter for the rest of my journey on earth. But when you fall in love with yourself, miracles happen. You start vibrating at such a high frequency, and you start flying high so much that you start manifesting and attracting people that are calling you too. It's not just you calling them, it's them calling you too, right? So yeah, one day I met Denis, and I had the courage to leave the province of Quebec and move to Ontario with my daughter and to embrace a new journey. And that was in 2002. And life has been not always easy. I know what it's like to be on the verge of bankruptcy. I know what it's like because my now husband, when I met him, he came with 4 children. So all of a sudden, I went from single mom to here we are with 5 children, 2 adults, almost no money. So I know also what it's like to go to food bank and to like develop white hair, wondering where am I gonna find the money to put food on the table for my kids, you know. But I turned my life around. Look at me. I lost 100 pounds. I joined the military, left the military. I've been happily married since 2006, with Denise since 2002. All of our children are grown up. I now live the life that I live, and I teach people the tools that I use to hopefully inspire them to do the same thing. Not the exact same thing that I did, but to find their answers. Because that's one thing I tell everybody. I don't have your answers, but I can sure shed a light to help you find your answers. And I help you find love and forgiveness to yourself. And it just transforms all your pain that is there to teach you a lesson, and you can transform it into peace and joy and love and forgiveness. And that's what I do. I travel around the world, I teach, I meet people, I facilitate workshops. There's talks about a TV show.
Oh, I know. And this is an important message. And maybe you're going through, maybe you're happy where you are, and that's fine with whatever is going on in your life. But if you're not, and it doesn't have to be like you went from tragedies to triumph, but it could be just a miserable marriage or a miserable job. But my point of saying this is just, if you want something better for your life, just make the decision. Just make the decision that I want something better for my life. And things will start, like, look at you. You just did a total, are you the same person? You are the same person, but instead of, now you're love.
Yeah.
You're love.
Well, I've always been, but now was the word embodying it?
Embodying.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Oh my gosh.
It's so simple, right? Like you said, it doesn't have to be dramatic. Mm-mm. Just ask that simple question. Am I happy? And don't, the answer. And you also know if you're lying to yourself or not. But are you happy? And it's yes, I am, or no, you're not. And it doesn't, don't start with the, yes, but I should be. I have everything. I have a good job. I have a good husband. I have a good family. I have a nice house. Are you happy? Being happy is not a selfish act. Being happy, think about this. When you walk down the street and somebody is on the other side of the street and you see them being happy, does it uplift you? It does. So you, by being happy, have the power to uplift the world. So what is the selfish act here? If you choose to stay unhappy, isn't that selfish?
That's selfish. Really.
The thing that you want to do, the thing that will bring you joy, it's your soul talking to you. Listen.
I'm having a hard time holding the tears back. I'm telling you. I'm like, oh my God. You're giving so much inspiration and hope and belief in the love that others, it's like, oh my gosh, right? So instead of like, this is the way my life is going to be for the rest of my life, no, ask yourself, are you happy? And sometimes, listen, I can tell you, it's not about the house. It's not about the car. It's not, happiness is an inside job. And when you're happy inside, it's irrelevant what size of house you live in. It's irrelevant what kind of car you drive. It's irrelevant whether you're in a relationship or not, because society thinks that, you know, you should be. But when you're happy, those things that you do desire will start to show up.
Yes, yes. What you desire is your soul talking to you. It's that simple. Like, I've never wanted to be an astronaut, but I personally know an astronaut that wanted to be an astronaut ever since she was born. She was a little kid. Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry. Linda Gannon, she's saying, good morning from Australia. Kathy Caldwell, she says, happy Friday, watching from Redondo Bay, Ontario. So listen, I have to ask a question, because this has intrigued me, because this is something that really piques my interest a lot.
Yeah.
And so you're a life coach, a law of attraction trainer, and you do workshops and everything, but you also do retreats.
Oh.
Tell me about, I know you have a retreat, you do soul, your paintings, you do the workshops, but how do you get from where you were and developing yourself then to go on retreats and have women come and join you? Like, where does that come from? How did you do this?
Well, first, it comes from a belief that whatever my soul whispers to me, it's kind of a responsibility for me to listen to my soul, because it's not just me wanting to do these things. It's me responding to someone else out there wanting this to manifest in their lives.
Oh.
So your calling is not just your calling. Somebody out there is praying for you to show up in their lives. So how we met, you spoke about Sophia, and Sophia and I led a retreat last year in Dominica in the Caribbean. It was absolutely phenomenal, unique, one of a kind. We worked with some amazing woman entrepreneur on the island, and it was just phenomenal. This year, I'm leading a retreat in Bali. In Bali. Oh my gosh. And what inspired that is all the self-care that us women, we know we should be doing, but we don't do it.
But we don't. That's so true.
We don't do the things that are good for ourselves. We do everything that's good for everybody. You know, we're there for our clients, we're there for our families, we're there for our friends, we're there for every responsibilities out there. But are you committed to your meditation on a daily basis? Are you committed to your yoga practice, to your exercise, to your food, to your spiritual? And it's not just your spiritual life, it's the mind, the body, and the soul. And when I'll be in Bali, that's what it's all about. It's about pampering the mind, the body, and the soul. And it's scary for me. Every year when I do a retreat, I'm like, am I really embarking on this journey? And yes, I'm very spiritual, but I'm also very human, and I have all the fears that everybody else does. Maybe I just know how to recognize them sooner and act despite of the fear. I don't know if you've ever heard of those two acronyms for fears. There's either forget everything and run, or face everything and rise. And I choose to rise when something really, really scares me, and I was able to determine that, okay, I'm not at risk here. Like, my life is not in danger. So you can calm down. It's not about life or death. There's something behind this. Go for it. go for it. It's your soul. So I jumped, and I already have 3 women who registered, and they registered within, I don't know, like whatever, right? The idea is that because I jumped, I realized right away, yeah, like it's not
They were waiting for
me.
you.
Yes, they were. They were. Just like there's 3 other women waiting to find out about this because they are meant to be there. And it's kind of, we're all calling each other, because once we're there, whatever one woman will share and her story, because we all have stories. I have my stories, but you have your stories, Penny, and everybody else has stories. And whatever everybody will share there will be meant to be shared within this sacred circle. There'll be gifts and lessons and love and such a sisterhood that will be developed there. We're all summoning, is that a word? To summon each other there. The white witch. Yes, we're calling each other there for a reason. So I'm really excited. There'll be yoga every day, meditation every day. We have a private chef. We have a private massage therapist that's coming to the villa. I actually rented a private villa for the small community of sisterhood. And yeah, we'll have spa treatments every day, coaching, art therapy, healing, angels, just everything, journaling.
Oh my gosh. For those of you that I see you're still hanging in there, usually my show's 30 minutes. We've gone a little longer, but I think it's an important topic. And we're going to keep going for a little bit, so if that's okay. So I want you to, I'd like you to tell people how, how they could reach you, or I could put something on the recording, because, if there's someone out there, gosh, I know. I remember when you first posted it, and I'm like, oh my gosh, it'd be so nice. One day I'll be going. And you said, you posted back something to me about the money.
Yeah.
And I said, oh, heck, I've traveled enough to know that the money's irrelevant. But the reason why, because you're going in December, right? It's December.
Yes.
And I'm going to become a new grandma for the first time in December. And so like December, I'm going to be here. So to share that wonderful day with my son and his wife. So yes, it wasn't about the money, because I know I've traveled enough to know that it's like, hey, if that's what I want to do.
Yeah, it's never, ever, ever about the money. I've seen it enough in my own life, in people's lives such as you, and in my clients' life. It's about your commitment. It's about your priorities. It's about your limiting beliefs, right? It's a mindset. It's really a mindset. I invite you to do this little exercise, right? Think about all the money in the world. All of the money in the world, like every millionaire, billionaires, trillionaires out there, and imagine that tomorrow they all go to their banks to withdraw their money. There's not enough money in the world physically, like printed, to give them their supposedly money. So what does that tell you? That money is energy. It's a concept. It's a belief. You have to bend your mind around the fact that there is money everywhere, and that everybody, not just me or you or a billionaire, everybody has access to this energy of abundance. It's really, and you're a law of attraction coach, Penny, so you know exactly what I'm talking about, right? There's also, I hate not the belief, but the stigma that when you are spiritual, there's almost like an aura or stigma about, but you can't love money. What? Are you kidding me? I am spiritual. I love love. But you know what? I also love red wine. And I also love money. And I also love sex. yes, I'm spiritual, but I am balanced and I know what I love because everything is energy. Everything is energy. And the more money I have, the more I can give to people, the more happier I am, the more I can help other people, the more I can, everything. Money is good. And I know we've been brought up in a society where we were taught money is evil. If you have too much, if you're rich, you're going to hell. You have to work hard for your money.
Oh, yeah.
There's not enough money in the world. Money rules the world, not love. You should choose love. You remember in the 80s or 90s, there was all these, it was plastered everywhere. Choose war, not choose love, not war, or something like that. Or, you know, where, because war is about money. And I'm not choosing war, but what I want to say is that everything is energy, including money.
Yes. I'm just going to slip out Janick and Janick.
There you go. That
I
was
need to practice French a little bit. I love French. I tried to learn it. It's like, oh boy. I'm going to go to YouTube, and there's a few comments out here I'd like to read, okay?
yeah.
So Tana Marshall, she says, hey, Penny, so happy to be watching live from Encino, California. Really looking forward to the show with you and my fellow QSCA alumni, Janick. Your new office looks great, and you look beautiful. Oh, thank you, Tana. Debbie O'Rourke, she says, happy Friday. And Purple Rose, 1849. So inspiring how Janick went from the deepest depths to the high vibration she is now. This is so very admirable how Janick speaks so openly about the saddest times in her life. It gives all of us the hope that we can accomplish this for ourselves also. This is a wonderful program today. Thank you. Now I could cry. Honest to God, I could cry because it's, jeez. That's the whole reason why I wanted to do my show, and to have people like you, is to give somebody out there, whether it be this person or this person knows somebody or somebody else watching at a later time on the recording, that this is all they needed to hear that can change their life.
Yes, they can. I know you're running over time, Penny.
Yeah.
But and I'll ask with you if it resonates with you, but I'm receiving a message because I channeled that there's something I should share,
Yes.
about forgiveness.
Yes.
And about the sexual abuse. And you know, we heal ourselves in so many layers in our lives. And when you think you've done healing something, a few years, a few months, a few weeks, eventually something comes back to show you, you know, a slap in your face going like, oh, there's still this that happened to me this spring. I did a lot of self-work and healing, energy healing and psychological healing about the sexual abuse. And I had become, and I still am, really, really good at forgiving everybody in my life. I had forgiven my stepfather, my mother, the community I lived in for letting the abuse go on for 5 years, and everything, right? I had forgiven everybody. What I didn't realize is that I had not forgiven myself. Oh, I had on some levels, but here's the big bomb. During the sexual abuse, I had experienced pleasure. I've actually orgasmed under the hands of, quote unquote, the devil. And I had never, ever wanted to look at that. And this spring, I learned to forgive myself, that aspect of myself. And that has transformed my life yet again. It brought me, it lifted me to yet another level. We're never done learning and loving and forgiving, and there's always lessons. And yeah, it's been like, I'm really condensing it in just a few minutes, but it was really powerful. And I'm thinking, if somebody is listening that feels a lot of shame and guilt, and even hatred towards themselves for whatever they've done in their past. It's okay. It's okay. You are unconditional love now, and you were back then too. The truth of who you are cannot be changed by the circumstances of your life. Nothing can touch that divinity.
Oh my gosh, that's so beautiful. And you said shame, and because I've been through things that I've held shame, you know, from the hands of other people, but I've held the shame. I felt shameful, but being able to, like you've shared your story, that sets us free. We don't hold that. When we can release it, when we can be free and just, we don't have to hold that shame anymore. So many times it's not even anything that we did, but we still hold the shame. And I had to deal with a lot of that too, and I've dealt it. But you touched on something when you just said this spring you went through it again, because when I started doing my work and my healing and the forgiveness, me was like, I felt like I had to forgive me first, and then forgiving everybody else was easy or easier. But I just kind of experienced something recently too, where I realized like, I still need to work on some forgiveness. I still need to do that too. So some things just come up, but you know what? Now when I do, just like when we're going to just come up to another level again. And then our message, we can share a message again. And so I think each of us, whenever something comes, we need to lift ourselves up. And, oh my gosh, this has been so wonderful. Oh gosh. I'm just going to say what next week's show is going to be, and then we're going to come back in. I want to know a little bit more about Bali and how someone's watching, because it's like a vacation. It's a dream vacation. It's a dream vacation. We go on vacations, all inclusives, and many times we just sit around the pool or drink and eat and then come back and get back to work. But when you can go to something like this and come back a changed person,
yes,
a whole new outlook on life, a whole new you, now that's transformational. So this is Hangout with Penny Show, episode 51. Next week, episode 52, I have another beautiful woman with me, Saheen Nanji, and she just, let me see, what is the name of the book? She's launching, Resilient Reflex. Pardon me, but it's coming out on September 29th. And so we're going to learn all about that, and there's some wonderful, wonderful lessons in that she's going to share. So that's next week, episode 52. Oh my gosh, everybody. I see everybody's still hanging in there. I appreciate you so much. We're getting close to the hour, so we're going to start to wrap up. Janick, I love your artwork back there.
Thank you.
Please, if you could briefly touch on, you do the workshops in person, live, or whatever you say, workshops, but you call it intuitive painting. Yeah.
So above all, I'm a coach, and I use art to coach people. So I learned a process called intuitive painting, and where it's not about painting. So everybody can paint, can take a paintbrush and some paint and apply it to a canvas. Where does it stop? Where do we stop ourselves is when we let our inner critic running wild and telling ourselves, that's awful, that's really horrible, you have no talent, you don't have any creativity, you're not intuitive. But you know what? The creative painting process really teaches everybody to tap into their inner self and to break free from the ego, from the inner critic, from all the rebellious voices, to just express what is within you that wants to be expressed. So I have my creative studio in Collingwood. I don't know if you knew that, Penny, but I'm moving to a bigger studio.
Oh!
Yes, mid-October in the same building, but just a bigger studio, more than twice the size. So I'm really excited about that. But I also, I am mobile. So I take my workshop around the country and around the world, and I do speaking events and different not webinars, but workshops around the world. So that's pretty amazing too. Mm-hmm. As you take a sip.
I just took a sip.
Yes, okay, I'll take a sip.
Oh my goodness.
Cheers.
Cheers. Okay, so Valley, if someone's listening, I know it's in December, so anyone, they still have time to sign up if that's if that's what they're calling to do. How can someone get a hold of you? Besides, I'll write it on the recording.
The first thing I want to say, if anybody is feeling the call to say yes, don't let money get in your way. I will actually work with you, and you'll be amazed at how the money manifests once you commit to your call. But if it's a no, then it's a no. But if it's a yes, then it's a yes. And then you can either email me, soulnakedjanick@gmail.com. You can call me or text me at 226-238-8178. I can work with you with payment plans. That's very doable also. And know that it's all inclusive. The only thing that's not included is the airfare, because I have people traveling from all around the world. So I can't bring that into the investment. But everything else, the meals, the accommodation, all the treatments, the spa treatments, the yoga, the massage, everything is included. The chef, the maid, the chauffeur, the pool, the ocean, everything's included.
Oh, isn't that a dream vacation?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is.
And I can vouch. I can vouch that you are the real deal. You walk the walk. You have done the work.
Thank you, Penny.
I think people could hear from themselves too. So, thank you very much. Do you have any final words for anybody that's listening that that you'd like to say?
Yes. Whenever you feel alone, it's just a reminder that you're disconnected from your divine self. Just do a meditation, connect with your breath, and you'll feel me, because I am you, loving you. We are all love.
Oh, thank you very much. I feel the love. I feel the love so much from you. I saw it the minute I met you, and I knew. So thank you very much.
It's an honor to be a reflection of your divine self, Penny. You're amazing. And thank you for the opportunity to co-host your show as your guest tonight. It's an honor and a privilege. Thank you for all the good that you do in the world, for answering your call and helping so many people out there. I know the good that you do, and I'm so grateful for you.
Oh, well, thank you. There's been many times where I thought, oh, I'm going to give up, but
me too.
Honestly, it's like, no. I just had a conversation today with someone. I'm like, you know what? We have a responsibility. When we know what we know now, that would be selfish to quit. Just like you said, we have a responsibility now to help others. So it's like, you think you can quit? It's impossible, really. You think you can, but you can't. Anyway, thank you very much. I just enjoyed this so much. We've gone an hour. Thank you, everybody. You've been supporting. I know it was a great show. Janick shared far more than I even expected. Like, oh my goodness, I was fighting back the tears. It was such a great show. And it's shows like this that I think we really do need to have out there, so people, because people are hurting. People are hurting, and we want to help. So we're sending love. Thank you very much, everybody. We will see you next week. Bye-bye.